Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? This is actually take 4. Yeah, I'm just not with it very well this morning, so bear with me, okay? I first start trying to record these videos about 6:30. I woke up early because I wanted to record this video before I go to onboarding with my duty job this afternoon, so I can clear some things out in my head with what I found out about that subpoena, and also I wanted to make sure I ate something before I left and gave my stomach some time to settle and all that sort of stuff, with dealing with my gut issues. So anyway, at least it's a little bit lighter out. Because before it was just like, oh, this side is very bright, this side not so much. So now that the sun is coming out a little bit, it's like, yeah, it's kind of evening things out a little bit better too. So, oh well, it is what it is. So anyway, and I'm a little bit more awake, but not so much. Anywho, I wanted to, oh, that's right, I need to get her some food too. Yeah, I got her food yesterday. Yay, she was very, very, very happy. So, anywho, what happened with this text message that I got from this guy regarding the subpoena that I got the other night. Anyway, I did hear back from him yesterday morning. My friend Angie and I, we were out doing some shopping, and I had pulled out my phone at one point, and I seen that I had this voicemail. So, and I seen it was from him, and listened to the message and called him back. And when he answered the phone, yes, baby, I know. She's trying to get my attention now. Of course, she's like, Mom, aren't you done with this yet? No, sorry. So anyway, when he answered the phone, he just gave his first name, no last name. He kind of acted like he was going to, but then stopped himself. So I was like, okay, whatever. So anyway, I told him who I was, and oh. Okay, now you're gonna stick your butt in my face. Goofy. Anyway, I explained, told him who I was. And he was just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get a hold of you, blah, blah, blah. Need to find out if you're going to be making it to court on Tuesday. And I'm like, well, before we get into any of this, there's that alert that was put out by Metro. I just want to make sure, that everything is on the up and up and so forth. He said, sure, no problem, I understand. And I'm like, well, how can we go about doing this? How can we verify and everything? So basically he's explained that he's a process server, and that he is, and then he starts going into specifics of the case. So I was, and unless somebody did their research, it would be like, yeah, there's really no way that this could be a scammer. So I was just like, okay, so I felt a little bit more at ease, at least. Still had a little bit of doubts. Because, I don't know, he's just acting weird. So anyway, we talked, I explained to him, that I was no longer in the state, as I put it, and of course I'm in the middle of a grocery store at this point, so I'm trying not to, say too much or anything. And he was like, oh, are you on vacation, or did you move? And I said to him that I've moved. And he was like, oh, okay. And I explained to him, that the cops at the time when I had talked to them, that they said that that most likely, because I had asked them at the time if I would need to be coming back, and they said no, most likely they would just have you do a Zoom call. And I'm like, okay. And I explained all this to him. And he's like, yeah, they usually don't like doing Zoom calls. It can be a confusing situation, blah, blah, blah. But they really prefer to have you come out. And it was just like, okay, well, talk to the DA, find out, everything and so forth. I mean, yeah, I really want to get this guy and so forth. But let's find out what we should do and so forth. He's like, okay. So anyway, Angie and I, we finished up with things, and we got home, and then later on that afternoon, I heard back from him, and he gets on the phone. He's like, oh, your travel expenses have been approved. That's basically what he was saying. Is they would pay for, as I told them, I'm flat broke. I've got 50 cents to my name now, so I've got nothing, left or anything, and I'm just starting a new job on top of it. And we had talked about that, and he's like, oh, well, is your employer going to feel okay with you carrying your phone around for 2 hours, and all this sort of stuff? And I'm just like, no, they've already approved for the time off. I explained to him the circumstances and so forth, and they've already approved for the day off, basically. He's like, oh, okay. So, pretty much already set up for the Zoom call or whatever, but he comes back and he's like, oh, basically free trip to Vegas overnight, because it would be an overnight trip, fly out right after the court case. And stay the night, fly in on Monday, stay the night, and I wasn't really looking forward to that, because I still would have to show up back to work 7 o'clock the next morning with really no rest, or anything, because who knows when the case is going to be heard. And then I'm going through those time changes, and let's face it, I deal with all these the gut issues and so forth too, and health issues. Not too sure what sort of weather is out there. Plus, I know full well I'm also going to be starting my period, and that always affects things, especially with the muscles in my chest. And yeah, they started flaring up last night. Had a really bad pinching happening right up in here and so forth. So I'm like, yeah, this is not a good situation with having me going out there flying, especially with all the allergy issues and everything. And I'm cleared up now. It's like, yeah, I was not looking forward to it. So I'm just like, what? So when he came back and it was just like, oh, everything's been approved, and I'm like, what about a Zoom call? Was any of that researched? He's like, well, no, and so on, but then he was just like, okay, well, I was sticking to my guns. He was being adamant about having me fly out there, and I'm like, why? It wasn't sitting well with me at all, and I still have no idea who this guy is. All I'm being given is a first name ever. And I'm just like, and then I happened to notice too, when I was looking at the subpoena, my name was spelled wrong. I'm like, it just, I realized my name is kind of common. There's different spellings and so forth. The whole situation is just not sitting right with me. My paranoid button is being pushed a little bit too much here, basically. So I'm just like, yeah, okay, let's, but anyway, he was just like, okay, well, let me get back with them and see about getting you the paperwork for you to sign off on, get it back to me, and but let me get your email address. So I gave it to him, and then I'm just like, well, and well, if I'm supposed to sign off on this paperwork, how am I supposed to get it back to you? And he's just like, oh, you just, sign off on your phone or your computer or what have you. He's like, do you have access to a computer? I'm like, no, have to do it on my phone. And he was just like, yeah, just do it on there and then get it back to me. And he was just like, I'll text it to you. Okay. Well, now you have my email address. I'm just, the whole thing is just not sitting right with me even that much more, because, I do know about, the signings, thing that you do on computers and so forth. I know all about that, but it just, things are not sitting right with me more and more. I'm just like, okay. So while I'm waiting for him, I'm finishing up. I was in the process of eating lunch, and I'm finishing up. I clean up my dishes. I'm heading back upstairs, and I'm just like, I need to make a call, because this whole thing is not sitting well with me. Does this guy possibly know the guy? Maybe an ambush? I mean, I realize it's a bit extreme or what have you, but at the same point, I'm just not. This whole situation is really triggering my paranoid button. It's just not sitting well with me at all. And personally, I'd much rather be safe than sorry, So I'm like, you know what? Let me do a Google search for the DA's office phone number and call them directly. So that's what I did. And at least now, at least I am calling them directly and possibly verifying who this person is. So anyway, I call them, I go through all the prompts, wait in the queue, and this lady comes on, and I'm just like, and she's like, how can I help you? She seemed very nice. And I'm just like, I kind of hesitated, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I have a question. And she's like, okay. I'm like, is it possible that I can verify if somebody works for your office or not? She's like, okay. Explain to me the circumstances. So I told her everything, and I gave her the name. She's like, well, that's the person's name. And I told her all I'm being given is a first name. She's like, okay. And what he does. He says he's a process server. And she's like, yes, we do have a process server by that name. And a lot of times if they can't get a hold of you, they will send a text message. And I'm like, okay, can I give you the phone number that I'm being provided to verify? And so she's like, sure. So I gave her the number, and she's like, yes, that is his direct line. I'm like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. As of course I explained to her, the situation with the alert that was put out by Metro with the scammers and so forth. And she's like, no, it's understandable. And basically I was speaking with Victim Witness Protection, the Criminal Division, Victim Witness Protection Division. So she's like, no, it's understandable. So it's like, okay. At least I felt a lot better. And so she's just like, I can get you over to them directly, and they can process the paperwork for the Zoom call. And I'm like, okay. So that's what we did. Instead of waiting for him. So at least in that way too, instead of trying to do things last minute, or him trying to possibly push me one more time, and I'm sitting on this all weekend wondering, and then I'm trying to, make sure I have things, squared away with my new employer, and trying to do that last minute, and I'm off Sunday, Monday on top of it, basically she took me off schedule for Tuesday, but I just want to make sure, I have all my I's dotted and my T's crossed and so forth, but yeah, I just, at least this way too, everything is taken care of, especially with it being on a Friday, and I don't have to worry about it this weekend. So we went ahead, took care of everything over the phone. She's person I spoke with in that department. Yeah, everything was perfectly fine. They were just like, yeah, no problem. Of course, I had to check off on the statement that I'm more than 100 miles away, which makes it difficult, of course, for me to be able to travel back or what have you, even though they're, willing to pay for it or what have you. But, I just had to sign off on that paperwork. She sent it directly to me. She sat on the phone with me to take care of the paperwork, and I could verify that she got it. She also, I'm like, hey, can you send me a copy of the subpoena so that way I can print it off for my employer? She's like, no problem. So she sent that off to me, and yeah, we're set, ready to go now. So, and I got everything printed off yesterday. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, got everything printed off yesterday. So there's, I have all that paperwork that I can take with me this afternoon and give to them. Even though she said it wasn't necessary, I feel a lot better, that it's in my file. Especially since this is actually a preliminary hearing that I'm going to be testifying at, which means that basically it's to determine if there's enough evidence to proceed with it's basically just a hearing in front of a judge to determine if there's enough evidence to proceed. If there's enough evidence to proceed with, against the charges. Some of the charges may wind up being dropped or what have you. I mean, he has kind of a long list. It's like about 8 charges, something like that. I haven't actually counted them. But it's main thing is, going through that process. So, but with it being 8 charges against him, there might be enough probable cause. Basically, that's what this is about, determine if there's enough probable cause to proceed forward. So, yeah, that's what we're facing. So, there is a possibility where I will probably have to take more time off from work to testify again. So, and then at that time, I will probably have to appear. I won't feel as, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable at that point. Basically, at this stage, I feel that there's, with it being a probable cause hearing, basically, that it's like, it's not that big of a deal. But once we get to that stage, it will be a big deal. So it would be better if I appear in court. So that it'll just be, of course, depending on if it's going to be either a hearing held strictly in front of the judge, or if there's a jury involved, it can carry a little bit more weight with having a witness actually there versus someone over a Zoom call or whatever. So, but yeah, that's where we're at with all of it. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to give everybody updates. I thought about maybe doing a video yesterday, but I decided to wait until this morning to do it. That way I could have opportunities to kind of sleep on it. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, I don't remember if in this video I had discussed what's going on with me. I definitely got a bad flare-up in my chest last night. I am coming up on my period, and that always gives me issues. But it's definitely different this time because I'm not dealing with all those allergens and so on and so forth out there. Everything's been calmed down, and then it was really weird. I had just gotten up on the step ladder to try and I cooked dinner last night and I was trying to find some storage containers to put my food in, and I just gotten up on a step ladder to get up onto the top shelves, and all of a sudden came out of nowhere. The pinching of this muscle right here. Actually, it's more like right here, just above my breast here, and it was just like, ow! And it's funny because Rick had just picked up the step ladder that they have. Saying it reminds me of a rickety old thing, and it's like I don't feel very secure on it, and he's always picking on me with it. And here I am pulling it out, getting up there, and he had just picked on me with it and everything, and then all of a sudden it hit, and he's just like, "Oh crud!" I felt bad for him, I really did. But he's just like, "Get down, just get down." But I'm like, I need to get down. I need to sit. And that's what I did, and it just kept pinching, flaring up and pinching and so forth. It was just like, ow. I'm like, I haven't had this in a while. And he's just like, it came out of nowhere. I'm like, yeah. And it's like, well, what? I'm like, I don't know. You know, I was thinking, because I know we have the storm system that's coming in tomorrow. And it's supposed to last for a couple days. Yeah, just thinking about that. It's probably another good reason why it's supposed to dump some snow again. It's supposed to be warm, so we might be having a slushy mess or whatever. That's actually another good reason for me to stay. It's like, yeah, that's I just thought of that. So yeah, I don't want to be flying out in that mess. No, thank you. All that turbulence, no thanks. And then deal with gut issues and motion sickness, all that stuff. Yeah, not a good idea. No. I'm staying here. Probably another reason why my intuition was flaring up. It's like, yeah, man, because I was getting a lot of pushback. Don't do it. Yeah. So, may not have, I mean, yeah, he was acting weird, too, but it was mostly, yeah, but yeah, that could be another reason why just my intuition was just flaring up right and left. So I didn't even think about that until this point. So yeah, I'm glad I'm staying home. So, I just called this place home. Ah! Anyway, but so yeah, and of course with this flaring up, coming up on my periods are not easy anymore. Well, they never have been, but at least I knew how to deal with them now. I don't even know how to deal with them because they're all over the frickin' place. No idea. My body can't decide what it wants to do. So, yeah, but I know I'm definitely coming up on it. And I think that's what, actually, I know that's what happened on Thursday. Thursday afternoon, we're trying to get out the door and everything. All of a sudden, oh, guess what? We're going to do some hormone dumping. Ugh. Thanks a lot. But, oh well, it's part of it. How much we can do. So, anywho, yeah, but yeah, it's, that's kind of everything that's going on with me, for right now. I am excited for this afternoon and get things rolling, yeah, this is going to be awesome. I know I wish there was a way I could make up for Tuesday, but oh well, it is what it is. So I'll get 32 hours next week, and I just need to, I got some questions to ask them to try and figure out their systems, like what the situation with the health benefits and so forth, so I can get that signed up for that and everything. Ow, I know it's really pinching in there still. I'll work through it. At least I'm a lot stronger. I was going to say healthier. Yeah, I'm healthier, that most definitely, but a lot stronger than what I was. One step at a time. That's what matters most. One step at a time. So, anywho, I should go so I can get myself moving. It's almost 7:30, and I'll talk at you later. Okay? I love you guys. See you soon. Love you.